But welcome back, everybody. Pop the popcorn. Get at your remote here. For those of you who make out your brackets or throw on the gowns, God bless you. We are just 2 days here from finding out who's going home with those prize statuettes. Some nominees already considered shoo-ins, but we could be in for some major surprises. And joining us now for more is the columnist with the Village Voice, Michael Musto. And Michael, thanks for a few minutes. I'm curious, is there a theme that's emerging out of this?
Yes, I would say at least 3 of the Best Picture nominees are politically oriented films that deal with transitional, triumphant moments in American history. It's almost like Movieland wants to congratulate our country over things that were well done in the past because maybe we feel we're in a bad state right now. Lincoln is obviously about the freeing of the slaves. Zero Dark 30 is about the getting of bin Laden. And there was another film, Argo, which is the front runner now to win, which is about the freeing of American hostages in Iran in the 70s. These are all great maneuvers that were pulled off and changed history. So they're very self-congratulatory films. But I think Lincoln comes off a little bit too much like a history lesson, and Argo has picked up steam as the favorite to win, especially since Ben Affleck, the director and star, was snubbed in the director category, and he's been getting waves of sympathy, and he's been playing it up, and not playing the victim, but being kind of an aw shucks kind of guy who's just thrilled to be at, at the pavilion at all. Oh. And people just like him. He's a good guy.
Absolutely. He's milked it, I think, pretty well for himself. The host of this, and I think people who watch the show know I'm not old-fashioned by any means, but I'm not sure about the choice here, especially on the heels of the disaster with Franco, who I thought was stoned through the whole thing, and Hathaway, they look clueless, but he himself said, you picked the wrong guy here. You got too thin-skinned a room for my kind of humor from the Family Guy type of jokes here. What do you think about McFarlane? Do you think that he's going to play well on Sunday? Was this an inspired choice?
Well, at least he is a comedian. Anne Hathaway and James Franco are not comics by nature. That's why they brought in Billy Crystal last year. But he kind of flopped because they had too much old school material. I think ever since Ricky Gervais did pretty well hosting the Golden Globes, people realized that you need a little mockery in the air. You need a little deflating humor to make up for all the self-congratulations that comes with any award show. And I think that's what Seth is going to provide. I wish they could just dump him, actually, quite frankly, and go with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, who were brilliant on the Golden Globes. They had just the right tone. They were mocking but not mean. Yeah. And everything they said was just hilarious. But I think Seth might do okay. He'll be better than Franco, don't worry. Okay, well, I don't think that's too hard. Literally, I thought the guy walked into the place and said, I guess this is where I'm show up, unprepared, and I thought, as I said, stoned off as you-know-what. All right, let's get to the films here. You think it's going to be pretty close for Best Picture? You handicap Argo as a slight favorite, right? No, Argo is a lock to win.
Really?
Ever since Ben Affleck was snubbed for director, Argo has won the Golden Globe, the SAG, the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, the Critics' Choice, the BAFTA, and the Producers Guild. There is no way it could lose the Oscar. Nothing could even come in its way.
Now, Best Director, I know you obviously not as big a fan as I was of Lincoln, but you think Spielberg, who's got a lot of love at the Academy, he's probably the odds-on favorite, right?
I think so, yeah. And there was one time where he won director for Saving Private Ryan, but that didn't win Best Picture. It was Shakespeare in Love. So the same divide is going to happen this year. Ben Affleck would win if he was nominated, but he's not, so it'll be Spielberg.
Now, when it comes to Best Actor, at least at our table, there's always the divide about Hugh Jackman certainly put on a great performance. It's a musical. I mean, I don't know how Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't win it for his portrayal of Lincoln, because you can't think of anybody else who would have done the role as well. How do you feel this ought to shake out?
This is another lock. Daniel Day-Lewis has it in the bag. He humanized Abe Lincoln. He went beyond the prosthetics. He played him as a real person, somebody flawed but likable with actually a sense of humor and a great storyteller. He's got it. And this will be the first person to get 3 Best Actor Oscars. Katharine Hepburn had 4 Best Actress. This is the first actor to get 3 in the leading category.
Now, I won't lie, I didn't see Amour, but everybody says who saw it, foreign language film, French film about a couple in their final chapter of life here, and the tenderness as they're going through the inevitable death of one of the spouse. But they say it's phenomenal. And the actor here, a lot of people said this was probably one of the more shameful snubs of people who didn't make the cut, right?
I agree. It's a beautiful film. It's not a great date movie. It's very depressing, okay? But Jean-Louis Trintignant, he dominates the film. He's the husband who has to become the caregiver when his wife, played by Emmanuel Riva, who is nominated, gets a stroke. The film is really about his journey. She's justifiably nominated, but he should have been in there too. But you know, the Oscars, they prefer, I don't want to give it away, but they prefer the people who get sick or maybe even die. They like that kind of thing. There's always a lot of nominees in oxygen masks and, you know, laying in hospitals. Naomi Watts in The Impossible, she spends half the movie laying in a hospital. And she got nominated.
Well, let's go for the actress right now, because I thought, tell me if I had this wrong, a few months ago they thought Zero Dark 30, that Chastain was odds-on favorite, and then all of a sudden Silver Lining Playbook picked up a lot of momentum, and now that actress is probably the favorite going into this. Do I have it right?
Yes, well, Jessica Chastain will suffer from the fact that Zero Dark 30 was the object of a lot of controversy about the waterboarding and all that. I think the controversy was ridiculous, and Catherine Bigelow is a very bold director to go to those places, but it's going to taint the movie, and it's not going to win much at all. So I think Jennifer Lawrence has pulled ahead, and she has a great role where she plays comedy, drama. She even gets to dance at the climax. It's almost like dancing with the stars at the end. Emmanuel Riva, who I mentioned from Amour, is building up a lot of steam, and people are like, well, it's her last chance, obviously. She's in her 80s. But I think Jennifer will be anointed. She's a bright new star. She was nominated before for Winter's Bone. Everyone likes her. She's in the Hunger Games. And she's just the kind of person that Oscar likes to say, here's your validation.
You know, finally, Michael, for me, I thought in recent years the trend was that you were going with the comic book movies and you were going with the special effects because that's what brought in the treasured demo that we're going to head out to the theaters. This year, at least the nominees and the pictures certainly seem to defy that. Is there anything from a trend going on in the industry that you don't have to have smash 'em ups here to get people to plunk down $10 and buy a ticket, or am I reading too much into one year?
I think you're reading too much, because there's a divide between what gets nominated and what gets good reviews and what the public sees. A lot of these nominated pictures did make over 100 million, so they're not exactly flops, but the real smashes of the year are things like Hunger Games and Harry Potter and Twilight, and things that have 0 nominations. The Oscars have become a little bit snobby, which is good because they're supposed to honor quality, not popularity. And it's not like the old days where, let's say, Sound of Music was the big movie and it was also the Oscar movie. Now it's a separation between the public and the honors.
Now, tell the truth. Do you just rather be left alone and watch the thing with quiet, or are you going to have like 20 bracket sheets and get dressed up in the favorite character or whatever at one of these Oscar parties?
To me, it's a hallowed experience. I invite five of my favorite friends. I turn down every invitation to go to bars, nightclubs, parties. I want to actually watch. Okay, and so I watch it with people who care about it as much as I do. To me, it's the real Olympics.
Very nice. And again, Michael, I appreciate a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, when we come back from the break, Andrew will tell us why Michael Musto was wrong about everything as our Oscar coverage continues after this. Stay with us.